Welcome to the Gate of Life podcast, your number one resource for living a better life every single day. I'm your host, Justin Flinner, acupuncturist, Tai Chi instructor, and coffee lover, and I will be leading you on a new journey. Each episode in the Gate of Life podcast will help you to start feeling a little bit more like you. Now, I'm sure 2020 was a year that forced you to question a lot of areas in your life. Your career, your finances, your relationships, your health, your political affiliations, and perhaps your beliefs. As you walk with me in the new evolution of this podcast, I will guide you through these areas of your life and through the Gate of Life to a place where you can look out into the world with open eyes and an open heart, where you can learn to enjoy life and all that it has to offer you. On behalf of My Mature Medicine, I thank you for being here with me. Now, let's go take your first step through the Gate of Life. Hey there, and welcome back to the Gate of Life podcast by My Mature Medicine. I'm your host, Justin Flinner. I've got my coffee this morning. It is 6:48 a.m. Been up since about 5, doing some Tai Chi around 5:30. If you've been following me on Instagram, you know what I mean. And I'm glad to be here with you. So thank you for joining me today. We have a brand new episode, and we're going to continue with our theme this month, which is about the back. And we're going to apply some of the knowledge and exercises that you learned in the video from this week to this podcast. Now, the name may not be so self-explanatory. You're probably thinking, belly dancing? The robot? What's he going to do? Is he going to teach me that during the podcast? Well, you guessed it. No, I'm not. So, belly dancing, I can't even attempt that. I'm not even going to try it. If I did, let's maybe imagine me doing that for a second. Let me try it. No, I didn't try it. That was a lie. You tried to visualize, just erase that from your mind. Okay. The robot, yeah, I can do that. 1, 2, Okay, I can get a few moves on there. A little popping and locking perhaps, but not the belly dancing. I'm not so good at that. How does that apply to this week's podcast? Well, if you've watched our videos this month, we have gone through posture for your back. We've gone through flexibility exercises for your back. We've done strength exercises for your back. And our latest video was about moving the back. How does that work for this episode? Well, we're talking about taking everything that you've learned and applying it. Taking the stretching exercises, the strength exercises, and then putting them into action. If you didn't do that, that would be like you go to school, you go to a university, study really hard, pass all of your exams, do really great there, take whatever other exams and certifications I'm thinking of the board exam because I'm an acupuncturist. So taking my board exams and then finally getting all of that stuff done and then deciding I don't want to do acupuncture anymore. Just sit on the couch for the rest of my life. I mean, why get to the finish line and decide to sit down right on the line? Say, I'm done. That's it. Give me my medal. I'm just going to sit here because I'm tired, I've had enough, and I don't want to do any more. Hopefully, none of us will ever do that in our lives. But some people may end up in that position, and I don't want you to. Hopefully, this will get you unstuck if that's where you are right now. So with belly dancing in a robot, I want you to think about the rigidness of the robot and the fluid movements that you would imagine someone doing belly dancing might perform. In your life, is there a place, in your mind also, is there a place where you feel very stiff, very rigid? You only have one way of doing things, one point of view. You don't care what anybody else says, what their opinions are. You don't care about their input. You don't want their advice. You don't want anything from them. No sympathy, nothing, because this is the way you're going to do it. If they don't do it your way, then just leave. Get out of here. Is that how you function? Or are you a little bit more open? Do you accept people's opinions? Do you adopt them? Do you allow them to become a part of yours so that you have fluid movement? You're accepting the good with the bad with the good. You understand both sides of the equation in your life. This is about rigidness and about fluidity. This is where we're going here. And your spine is the physical manifestation of that. Imagine if you couldn't move your spine because it was so stiff. So sit where you are right now, or stand where you are right now, and make yourself super stiff. And imagine walking down the street being this stiff, sitting in the chair for hours and hours and hours, this stiff. All you can see is what's in front of you. If you want to turn to look at something else, you have to put in a lot of effort. Why? Because you got to turn your entire body to move. You don't just turn your head. You don't just turn your torso. You don't just turn everything all at once to look behind you or to the side. You have to turn your entire body because you're so stiff, you're holding on. We need to let go of that. But we also don't want the opposite, which is way too fluid. I'm floating through life. I'm rolling my body like a belly dancer. Yes, I did actually just try that for a second, and I won't try it again. The movement that we need is also connected to our emotions. When we become rigid, this is an example of, number one, could be anger. You get angry, you get a little tense, but that builds and that builds and that builds. But if it's sudden, that would be like, I frighten you. I did frighten you maybe a little bit, right? Or you have some fear inside. You pull inward, you get tight. Why do we do that? Why do we tense up? Why does our body tense up? Especially when we get injured. Why do we tense up? It's a protective mechanism. You're protecting yourself from further injury. When you tense up and you're emotional, you're protecting yourself from emotional harm. Harm that you could do to yourself or harm that you could do to another. Now, I'm not saying that you should be fluid and just let it out and then smack him right in the face, like I just smacked this thing right in front of me. No, we want to be hitting anybody. Violence is not the answer. Yes. So, in this case, how do we control our emotions? How do we control our thoughts? How do we control our bodies so that we can be fluid? The right amount of fluidity. We need to be relaxed. This is actually what Tai Chi is all about, but today's discussion is not about Tai Chi, but you can apply it. So when we are moving, don't be rigid physically. When you walk down the street, you want to grab something off the shelf, pick something up off the ground. You want to sit down on the bench or the chair. You want to go for a run. Don't let yourself be rigid, but don't let yourself be like a bag of wet noodles. So in both ends of the spectrum, you become unable to move. There's less fluidity. We need to have some structure, and that's where our posture comes into play. So mentally, emotionally, how is your posture? How do you align yourself to be present to the world around you? This is the world around you, not just the world in front of you. We need to be able to move in all directions. We need to be able to move through all emotions, through all experiences. We need to be able to move through joy. We need to be able to move through anger. We need to be able to move through fear. We need to be able to move through pain. When we have pain that begins as acute, eventually, if we can't let go of it or if the body can't heal quickly enough, it will become chronic. And that tension continues to remain. We become more like the robot rather than allowing ourselves to be more fluid and move like a belly dancer. Allow your body to move. Allow your mind to move with the emotions. So physically, this is easy to understand. Mentally, how do we move better with emotions? We try to avoid any extreme. An extreme expression of anger can obviously be damaging for ourselves and to others. An extreme expression of fear, you can imagine what that would do to you. You end up in the fetal position for the next 10 years of your life. You're so afraid. You're afraid of going outside, afraid of meeting people, afraid of the virus, afraid of the vaccine. You may be afraid, but we cannot live in fear. We cannot live in a rigid state. We can also not live in a joyous state forever. We will eventually run out of energy to sustain that. We will collapse. Emotionally, physically, we have to be fluid. So in today's exercise, I want you to think of a challenging aspect of your life. You may be going through something right now, whether it's at work, at home, financially, relationships, any area of your life, you name it. What is one of the challenges that you are being faced with right now? And then I want you to take a moment to think about how you are approaching that challenge. What are you doing with your thought process? What are you doing with your physical presence? How is your posture when you think about that? Physically, how are you inside? Do you feel tense? Do your shoulders raise up? Does your neck get stiff? Do you clench your jaw? Do you clench your fists? What emotion are you physically manifesting? And then, if you think about it, your vision is focused forward. Your intention to get through this is in front of you. It's going forward, and you have maybe clear determination to get past it, or maybe you don't have any understanding of what to do to get through it. This challenging situation in your life right now, your eyes are pointed forward, and you may have forgotten about the world around you that is continuously moving. How can we use this as an exercise? Well, now you have the challenging aspect of your life that you're facing right now. You have this physical presentation that you have developed. It's your posture, it's your position, it's your body. You have command over it. And you have an emotional response or reaction, depending on if you can control it or not. In this 60-second exercise, you are not going to think about how you are in this moment. You are going to take your predatorial-like vision, the vision that you have when you look forward only. You see your goal, only go towards your goal, and you forget about everything and everyone else in the aspect of that goal, in the content of what is needed for that goal to be completed. If you go through life in that way, you are very rigid. So, you are going to focus on your peripheral vision, not your predatory vision. I want you to think about the area around you. In this challenge that you are facing in your life, what are some things that you have not looked at, have not thought about, people you have not talked to? As you visualize them, I want you to pull them into you and see if that is a way that you can expand your own vision and allow for yourself to look for new opportunities by being more fluid and less rigid. So your 60 seconds, you have your challenge in mind, you have your vision forward, you're going to close your eyes. You can put your hands in a nice comfortable position. They can be resting on your lap, they can be placed on your abdomen. Just sit comfortably, stand comfortably, close your eyes. And I want you to use your peripheral vision to expand the world around you for 60 seconds. Think of the people, think of the places, think of the opportunities that exist that you have not seen, that you have not taken advantage of. Your 60 seconds starts now. right. Nice job. So how did you do? Are you the robot or are you the belly dancer? Did you find it difficult to become aware of what else exists around you? Could you think of a person? Could you think of an opportunity? Could you think of an action that maybe you need to take within the next 24 hours? Because that is what comes next. Similar to the topic we've been focusing on this month about posture, flexibility, strength, and now movement, you need to apply what you have just come up with. You need to make that phone call. You need to talk to that person. You need to redo something that you weren't doing in that way before. This is the chance to make a change because you expand your vision. You are no longer looking forward only. Now, you can see the world around you. And this is something that we need to apply in all areas of our life. For me personally, I'm sitting here working at home, doing a podcast right now. My kids are still asleep, but later on, when I'm at work, my kids are going to come down and say, hey, I finished this assignment. Can you please take a look? Hey, can I do this? Do you want to play, Daddy? Do you want to do this? Do you want to go outside? They're going to come down, and I could call that bugging me. I could call that, hey, this is an opportunity for me to take a break. Or I could sit here and just stare at my computer and say, yep, oh, that's great, good. What was the answer? Okay, yeah, that sounds right to me, good. Okay, go back and finish the rest of your work, please. Sometimes that's how I operate, and I feel really bad about it. Also, there are days when I feel really fluid. I'm like, you know what, okay, work is not so busy, so I can go off and I can play with them. Yeah, I could take a little break. So how your day goes, how your life goes, it is all dependent upon how you go. Because the bottom line here is that life is moving. And so should you. You should move with it. Be fluid. Be more fluid in your life. Don't be so rigid. Undulate. That was one of the exercises that we did in our video this week. An undulation of the spine. Allow yourself to move. Undulate. Be the belly dancer. Allow yourself to experience more fluidity. Sometimes when we don't have it, we have to do the extreme that pulls us in that direction. So maybe I do need to do some belly dancing. Maybe I'll try it. Maybe go look up a video and give it a shot. Or maybe one of you can teach me. I don't know. I hope that all of you today, this week, and going forward for the rest of your lives will be able to see the things around you in your life. Use your peripheral vision more. Don't just use your predatory vision. Don't just look forward in your life only. Because again, life is moving, and so should we. Thank you again for being here with me today. I'm Justin Flinner, and this is the Gator Life Podcast by My Metro Medicine. I'll talk to you next week.
This podcast is brought to you by My Metro Medicine, an organization that is dedicated to helping people improve their lives by learning to empower themselves and take control of their own life. Any form of reproduction or distribution of this podcast is strictly prohibited. Should you have any questions on using this podcast or information that is contained within this podcast, please write to info@mymetromedicine.com.